In 2009, I bought a house in Surrey, St. George's Hill, £7.6 million. My stamp duty bill was £304,000. My accountant told me there was a legal scheme. I could pay £100,000 instead, save over £200,000. I did it. 4 years later, HMRC came after me. I ended up paying over $430,000 to HMRC alone, plus $70,000 in fees I never got back. Over $200,000 more than if I had done nothing. This is what I learned. I'm Georgi, this is Efficient Life, where I share what the financial industry knows but doesn't tell you. Let me tell you exactly what happened. In 2009, I purchased a house on St. George's Hill in Surrey. Purchase price £7.6 million. Stamp duty in the UK is progressive. Zero on the first portion, then increasing rates on higher bands. On a $7.6 million purchase, my total stamp duty bill came to $304,000. My accountant came to me with an idea. There was a scheme, legal, he said, involving a transfer between spouses. Here is roughly how it worked. When you buy a property, you have a period before completion, where the contract exists but the transaction isn't legally finalized. During that window, there is a provision in the UK tax law, Section 45 of the Finance Act 2003, called subsale relief. It was designed for genuine financial situations. For example, a developer who agrees to buy a site and then sells it to another buyer before ever taking ownership himself. In that case, only the final buyer pays stamp duty. The developer in the middle doesn't pay twice. The scheme my accountant proposed was designed to exploit that same relief. Instead of me purchasing the property directly and paying $304,000, the structure was engineered so that my spouse would be brought as an intermediate party. On paper, it appeared as a transfer between spouses was occurring before completion, creating the impression of a subsale, with the aim to dramatically reduce the consideration on which stamp duty was calculated. The result, if it worked, instead of paying $304,000, I would pay approximately $100,000 in total, a saving of over $200,000. I placed $304,000 into escrow with my solicitor. Now, here's what I didn't fully understand at the time. Of that $100,000, only $30,000 actually went to HMRC as the reduced stamp duty payment. The remaining $70,000 went to the company running the scheme, their fees, their setup costs. And, as I found out much later, $15,000 of that $70,000 was a kickback paid directly to my accountant for recommending me to them. My own advisor being paid to send my business their way. Nobody told me any of this. After 11 months, my lawyers told me HMRC had a fixed window to inquire about the transaction. If they didn't act within 11 months, I was off the hook. The 11 months passed. My solicitor returned $204,000 to me as a reminder of my escrow. I thought it was over. I moved on. Approximately 4 years later, HMRC began investigating the scheme. Not just me. Around 2,500 people had used the same company, the same structure, the same promise. HMRC took the case to court. And the courts did not rule quickly. It took approximately 2 years of litigation, challenge, appeal, counter-argument, before the courts finally ruled in HMRC favor. Despite the fact that the 11 months window had passed, despite that our lawyers had told us, despite the legal opinions the scheme company had provided, the courts found that the subsale conditions were not generally met. The structure was artificial. It had no real commercial purpose beyond avoiding stamp duty. And under the anti-avoidance provisions of the Finance Act, HMRC was entitled to look through the whole arrangement and tax it as if none of those steps had occurred. All 2,500 of us were required to pay. Not just the original stamp duty, but the original amount plus years of accumulated interest, calculated from the original due date, as we had never paid anything. I paid over £400,000 to HMRC. Add the $30,000 that had gone to HMRC at the start, add the $70,000 in fees already lost to the scheme company. Total out of pocket over 500,000. Original bill 304,000. Extra cost of trying to be clever over 200,000 pounds. And the 70,000 I had paid in fees to the company that set this up, nobody returned that. Gone. My accountant received 15,000 kickback from the company that sold me the scheme in the first place. I want to be careful here. I'm not saying the scheme was illegal. It was sold as legal. My accountant said it was legal. My solicitor said it was legal. The company running it said it was legal. They had counsel opinions. But here's what I have come to understand. Illegal opinion is not the same as a legal outcome. The people who sold me the scheme were paid on the day I signed. They had no skin in the game 4 years later when HMRC came knocking. I did. That is the fundamental problem with tax avoidance schemes. The line between acceptable planning and unacceptable avoidance is decided by governments and courts, not by the people selling you the structure. And by the time that line is drawn, the fees are long gone, the interest has been accumulating, and you are one writing the check. The second lesson is about conflicted advice. My accountant was supposed to be working for me. He was paid by me, I trusted him, and he was taking a commission from the company he recommended to me. This happens in finance all the time. Wealth managers recommend funds that pay them their trail commissions. Advisors recommend products that pay referral fees. Scheme promoters pay introducers to bring them clients. Always ask how your advisor get paid, always, before you take a single piece of advice. The third lesson is about what the 11 months window actually meant. Nothing. Governments can challenge declared windows in court. They can argue that the window was never applied to begin with. They did argue that, and they won. Don't structure your financial life around the assumption that HMRC or any other tax authority will not come after you. They have long memories and significant resources when they decide a scheme is worth pursuing. After this experience, I stopped looking for clever solutions. I stopped trying to find schemes that reduce what I owe. Instead, I asked a different question. Where can I live where the tax burden is generally zero? Legally, permanently, and without tricks? The answer was Monaco. No income tax, no capital gains tax, no annual property tax, no inheritance tax for direct family. Now, I want to be honest about what Monaco actually costs, because it is not zero. When you buy a property here, on resale property, you pay approximately 6% in notary and registration fees. On a new build, 20% VAT applies. These are real costs, not trivial. But once you own the property, no annual tax, and when you sell, no capital gains tax. Compare that to the UK, stamp duty to buy, council tax every year to own, capital gains tax when you sell, and the risk that any scheme you use can unravel years later with interest. Monaco is expensive to enter, but it is completely transparent about what it costs. And once you are a resident, the ongoing tax burden is zero, no schemes needed. I share this story not to embarrass anyone. I share it because I think it is a story many people need to hear. Before they sign something, before they trust someone, before they believe that 11 months means they're safe, governments write the rules and they can change them. The safest tax strategy is not the cleverest one. It is the most legitimate one. If you found this useful, subscribe. And if you want to go deeper on how the wealthy structure their investments, legally, efficiently, and without gimmicks, I'm building a full course covering everything I know after 30 years. Link in the description to join the waitlist. I'm Georgi, this is Efficient Life, where I share what the financial industry knows but doesn't tell you.